as you know, since Monday we started this week, this week's aesthetic is pretty much Sabrina Carpenter and her Coquette, and the idea of, is that fashion forward? Is it feminist? Is it satire? Is it tongue-in-cheek? Is it hyper feminine? Is it for the male gaze? Is it a little baby doll, which is concerning, and men's obsession with youth and beauty, and the pressure of all of that, and children sort of thing, you know. Anyway, I just realized I didn't introduce myself. Hi, I'm Lex of Lex Go Every Day, and today we are going to do a Sabrina Carpenter Coquette makeup look. So let's get started. All right, I have everything. I did skincare. You can see that I'm just trying to do a higher dose or higher potency of my tretinoin. I went from 0.05 to 0.1%, and it's very sensitive here. So, and I knew it would be because this is where it always affects it the most, and then it just kind of like tore up my skin a little bit. So I have Aquaphor on it already right now. It's absorbed mostly, so we'll see how it sits on the skin, but we're gonna get started. This is the makeup look that we are going to do a tutorial on. We are going to get started with the, you know what? Let's put our BB cream on, and then we'll get into the eyes. So, like I said, well, actually we're gonna do the color correction because of all this red. And the color correction I like to use is this Rescue Balm by Hero. It is a green color correcting green cream. It's awesome, I love it. And yeah, that's what we're gonna get started with. The skincare I have already on my face, so this is just pretty much just getting all that red out of here. It is a little drying, which is not good for this situation. Great for my T-zone, because, you know, yeah, I have oily skin, which is great and not great, so you get it. Anyway. Now we're gonna do the BB cream, which is my Maybelline BB Dream BB cream. I like to get this blue one with the salicylic acid. The reason is because I noticed my salicylic acid brightened my skin tone, got rid of whatever, you know, blemishes I had, but it also, the pink one that I used that had the SPF in it, which I already put on, so, you know, we're good with that. But the pink one made my skin so much more oily as opposed to this one. So I just put on a separate SPF. And I just made the switch. It's just sometimes you just have to experiment, and also your skin changes, you know, with the seasons, with whatever, hormones, things change. So don't be afraid to, if something just doesn't seem right, and so, or something just seems to stop working, you know, for you, just don't be afraid to go back to something that you used in the summer or in the winter and that worked better. You know what I mean? Just sometimes things work for a little bit and then they stop working. And it could just be a myriad of different reasons why. Usually it has more to do with the environment and, you know, the weather. By the way, I'm just using my travel subtle stacks, which is, I love it. I also really love the coverage that this one gives me. That maybe my BB cream just doesn't, or needs a little extra help with, so that's why I really like it. And it doesn't do anything bad for my skin. Like, it really just makes it nice and even. It doesn't bunch anywhere. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Somebody had gone to like a YouTube event where like all the really big YouTubers went to, and whatever, you know, in LA, whatever. And a new, new like genre of people being invited to YouTube was like the political people, right? The people who talk about what's going on in our politics, in our society, in America. And it's a very small bunch of YouTubers that have suddenly exploded, but like for obvious reasons, right? And what she said was, you would be, sadly, very surprised by the amount of people that you probably follow on, I'm gonna do this last, just smells so good, on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, that are actually not who you think they are. And, you know, I was, in the beginning of me doing this, I was constantly warned and reprimanded. Don't speak your mind, don't say political things, you know, whatever. I am not that person. I am a feminist. I will fight for what's right. I will say what I believe, and I am who I am. And I feel like if you are afraid to show the world who you are, then you are hiding something. And if you're hiding something, it's because you're ashamed of that. And so what she basically said was, if you don't know, or if the people you follow haven't made it clear who they support politically, then they're hiding who they support politically. And she said, you would also be very surprised by who that is. And then I was like, well, give us names. And she said, it's who has not come out to say who they support or don't support. If you don't know who they support, then they support the fascists. So I thought that was interesting and sad, and an obvious reality. I'm not surprised at all that people would try to hide that, but also if you know that's something you have to hide, then maybe you also know that you're the bad guy. Is that crazy? No, that's not crazy. I feel like people know they're the bad guy. And I say that because, you know how like the brown shirts are covering their faces? The Gestapo, the American Gestapo are covering their faces so nobody knows who they are so that they can protect themselves. I'm sorry, you're protecting yourself from kidnapping people? Weird. Why would you have to do that? Unless you knew that, I don't know, maybe you're the bad guy? Call me crazy. Don't call me crazy, I'm Lex. Anyway, I'm just saying. I think I made it obvious. Anyway, I'm using Makeup by Mario to... All right, so that's the eyeshadow primer. All that to say, you know, it is important that we are aware of who we support and who they support. And we also, okay, so let me just really quick, I'm going to do kind of a rounded, I don't usually do rounded because that's not my face shape, but this is that Coquette sort of look for Sabrina Carpenter. I'm using the Glam in soft tan. It's like a grayish tan. I like it because it looks like a shadow, which is what, it's a cool color, which is what contour is supposed to look like, you know? Anyway, it's supposed to be rounded because she has a more rounded sort of baby face, which again, we can talk about that whole thing as well, in the sense of, you know, she plays off of this look of childish, right? like this baby childish coquette, and yet at the same time she has this very obvious sexual energy. And not just energy, I mean, she's literally wearing lingerie as clothing outside, right? Like that is corsets, underwear, literally, like lingerie. And I have nothing against that. And what I think is really interesting is there's two ways to look at that. I'm so not used to this blush being so rounded on my cheeks, but that's her baby face look. Okay, anyway. So what I was saying is it's just like this interesting idea that yes, it's baby. Yes, she's sexualizing and emphasizing that baby aesthetic, but at the same time, right, she is kind of, see, and this is where people are like confused or like struggling with how to, whether they can support her or not. Like a lot of people are arguing that Sabrina Carpenter is like a satire Coquette, right? Like she is not really into the whole baby playing into the male gaze, even though she's wearing underwear as outerwear, that sort of thing, because the community that is, what's it, like trad wife or whatever, cannot get behind how overtly sexual she is, right? First of all, the internalized misogyny is rampant in that community. Like you cannot be sexual, you cannot have cleavage, you cannot have short skirts, any of that stuff, right? And so she has all of those things. Also, she's a shorty like me, so I totally get the whole leg thing. But what I'm saying is, she is overtly sexual. And so in that way, it's like she's fighting against the patriarchy of, and mocking like that hyperfemininity, mocking the men that find her sexually attractive in her baby sort of aesthetic, and then mocking them and making it so overtly sexual that it's like super obvious, right? So I'm putting a very light color on first, just washing it over the eyes. This is called Silk Robe in the Orgy palette, ironically, unironically, I don't know, coincidentally, of Jeffree Star's Orgy palette. But what I'm saying is, it's just like, it is satire, right? Because if you look at Lana Del Rey, and I know a lot of people really love her, and I don't really hear a lot of bad things said about Lana Del Rey, but I hear a lot of negative comments about Sabrina Carpenter. And yes, I know she's new on the scene and she's like very young and she's playing into this male gaze sort of look as well. But it's just interesting how both are playing into the coquette, right? Both Lana Del Rey and Sabrina Carpenter are playing into the coquette look. And yet only Sabrina Carpenter seems to be getting a lot of flack for it. The other part of that, though, of course, we have to acknowledge the whatchamacallit she just had, her album cover, where so easily she could have had so much more power in that image as opposed to like the faceless man holding her by her hair, right? It's not forceful, like I get that, but in the same vein, it's like very obviously she's in a submissive position, right? And so a lot of people are very against that. I get it. So it's just interesting how people say that she's doing this whole satire sort of thing, and yet other people are arguing you know, is it really satire if people don't get it, if people don't see that it's satire? And yet at the same time, people are acknowledging that, yeah, this is a thing. Is it problematic, or is she mocking it? So I thought that was really interesting. All right, so her eyebrows are actually really thick. I mean, mine are, but mine are not. Mine taper a lot more. I'm gonna try and give it a little more. No, I'm not used to like such an extra thick brow. Sorry if it seems like I'm changing what I'm doing constantly. I am. I don't always just stick to just doing the eyes or the brows, or I just do go all over the place based on what I'm seeing and what I feel like doing. I'm not a great tutorialist. Anyway, all that to say, you know, a lot of people are hating on her, but you also have to remember, yes, we have a lot more education and a lot more information, and women are far more exposed to feminism and strong women than my generation was comparatively, especially if you think about all the horrific things that women endured just being on a fucking talk show host, and how abhorrent the men and the questions were. Like, just, I mean, even just in general, right? And so, and we were conditioned to, women were conditioned, and everyone, I guess, who was watching that, were conditioned to watch that and say, yeah, that's normal and fine. But you watch it now and you're like, oh my God. And you're not laughing anymore, because it is genuinely just fucking outrageous. And then you feel furious for what these women are put through, like the questions they have to endure just so they can talk about and promote the fucking movie they're in, you know? Anyway, I'm struggling with my eyebrows today. All that to say, yes, we have a lot more information and we're a lot more educated and aware, but you also have to remember that, like, Sabrina Carpenter is very young. I think she's... Hey Siri, how old is Sabrina Carpenter?
Sabrina Carpenter is 26 years old.
Okay, she's not that young. I thought she was like 19. All right, so she's 26, but still 26, like, I still didn't know about everything I know now, you know? I just feel like, and she's a new artist. She does not have full control over what her image is, I guess you could say. That's kind of up to the people, right? Like, who are managing her. And yes, she does have a say, but it's tough. It's tough because it's someone who is so young and has so much influence. You still want to make money, right? We're still in a patriarchal world, and sadly, that's the reality. And the other part of that reality is that men don't want to let that go. And so keeping Sabrina Carpenter in the over-sexualized, vulnerable position, they still gives the patriarchy power to say to young women that this is what you have to be if you want to have, have a relationship with men, that sort of thing. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna focus on doing the, okay. So now I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna put some just lightly, like a cool brown, just to deepen the eye a little bit, give it some dimension. I'm gonna put the color down first. This is knee pads. And then start to blend it. I'm using the same brush that I had, that I put the lightest color on. I'm just getting the color on now. We're gonna deepen it a little bit more. I'm gonna change my brush, something with a little denser tip. I'm gonna go in with All Night Long. Again, it's a cooler brown because I'm just trying to create a shadow effect. I'm not trying to make it look like I have any color on the eye. I'm just okay. From here, so her look is very fox-like, so I'm gonna use a liquid liner. Actually, I'm just gonna deepen this a little. This is my Wet n Wild multi-stick in chocolate chip. Okay. My favorite kind of liquid liner is the NYX Professional makeup. It's the felt tip. That's my favorite. So we are going to, got it, just dash it across. That's the easiest way to do it. And before I get to the very end, I'm just gonna start with my line. And do the same thing to the other side. All right, I struggled a little. It's mostly these eyebrows. I just cannot seem to. All right, anyway, so we're gonna get into the lips now. I'm just using the CoverGirl Outlast lip stain in Shugi. It smells like sugar, it's so good. It doesn't look like much yet. But I'm going to deepen the edges with the cheat day. I'm gonna also keep the lip more rounded. And just to say, I'm not gonna go all the way here. Just trust the process. It's a process. All right, the last thing I can do to save these lips is to put the gloss on top. This is a Buxom gloss in Sandy. It's a fabulous color. That's the great thing about the gloss, is that it just blends everything. So when it wasn't working, then now it does. Okay. Last thing I think is that it does seem to have a little bit of black here on the very bottom. So I'm just gonna blend this out a little. She's also definitely wearing mascara on the bottom, so I guess I will as well. You know what? I'm gonna use my Maybelline Super Fluff. First, I'm gonna do it on my brows, because obviously. Mm. Okay. And lastly, I just need to do my hair. Well, let me just, as you can see, the skin is irritated. And now I'm just gonna do my hair. I don't have her bangs like I used to. I do want to get them back. Not that short, but you know. Anyway, let's do it. All right. And that is my version of the Sabrina Carpenter makeup look. Yay! All right, I hope you have an amazing day. Friday, we have her Coquette Sabrina Carpenter lookbook, so stay tuned for that. If you missed Monday's episode, we talk about Sabrina Carpenter, how it is in the patriarchy, the baby doll, the whole coquette sort of thing, lingerie, male gaze, the whole nine. Anyway, I hope you're having an amazing day. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Until next time.
You take the ground.